You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Yes, indeed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, as always, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 455. This episode, I know it's been about 2 weeks since we last did a podcast episode. A lot has happened since then. But before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. I want to take a moment to thank Shay from the committee. It was a great interview I did with her. That episode is already up. So I was supposed to do a Baltimore Ravens draft recap with draft grades. We're a little late into the NFL draft, but we'll make it. We'll do a audible with that at some point because we're now in the off season and we'll have some off season discussion. So I'll make it work with that. We're in week 6 of the WNBA. I feel like it's a good time to do some first quarter grades for all 13 teams. I want to make sure quick point of order. My grades were fair. There's a few incompletes. I was close to giving a couple D's, but I'm being nice because again, I still think but right now with injuries, and then I think also too, I think there's still an adjustment period. I don't judge teams after 8-10 games, which I think a lot of some individuals from social media and other platforms were doing respectfully. I just don't do that. I have Brendan Potts. He's going to talk about the Seattle Storm. We'll have him on in a little bit. But also we also have the week 6 rankings. So I'm gonna do the grades first, and then I'm just going to show you my week 6 rankings afterwards. So but before we get into that, again, thank you for all the support you give me in this channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. And yes, one other thing. We are catching up on uploading all the episodes via Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have 87 more episodes to upload to be caught up. So as of right now, AJ, help me out. We started with the Faith Massonis interview. Yes, thank you. So that should be done hopefully by the end of June, which is next week, early first week of July. By the 4th of July, we should have all the episodes uploaded, which is all 455 episodes downloaded, uploaded, and completed. And we'll make sure we're consistent in making sure each episode is uploaded once the episode is, whether it's live, recorded, whatever. So that's enough of me talking. Let's start with the first quarter grades. Other thing to check out TeamNBSMedia.com. I did a week 3 through 5 rankings on the website there. I apologize if you didn't see anything on mdsportsblog.com. The schedule has been really weird to keep up with for this season. I don't know what is, for some reason around this time of the year, for some reason when it comes to the Mystics, I don't know what it is, but like June, May, June, and then like August, September, everything slows down. I don't know. I'll ask Brendan when we bring him on here, but maybe it's just me. It's just a weird schedule. But 3 through 5, check that out. And we're going to start with the first quarter. We're going to start with the grades. Again, I'm going to do an alphabetical order, and then I'm going to bring him on for Seattle for his team grade, and I'm also going to bring him on for where I have him ranked, where I have the Seattle Storm ranked. But I'm going to start with the Atlanta Dream. I'm giving them B. I'm giving the B a B simply because of two things. I think Carl Smolensko is definitely should be in consideration of Coach of the Year. They had a chance to get to the Commissioner's Cup, but they were one game short, lost to New York Liberty. They've hit the 90-point mark 5 times in 14 years. They only did that 3 times last year. So they're doing all the right things. I think Alicia Gray should be in the MVP conversation. Brianna Jones, I think it was utterly embarrassing. The first batch of the first returns for the fans votes, and Brianna Jones was not even in the top 40. I think that's disgusting. I think she's definitely picked it up from where she's left off last year. And to me, I think there's still plenty of things to prove for them, but they're doing all the right things. But I mean, I know Brittany Griner hasn't been there a couple times through injury or whatnot, but Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, Brianna Jones, in my opinion, are all stars. But if I had to give them a fair grade, I think a B is fair. I kind of considered an A because I looked at their schedule prior to the recording of this video. They played Dallas. They have Minnesota, so they'll not won't know until probably tomorrow, if anything. Then they have New York on the 29th. So, yeah. So that's the grade for the Dream. The Chicago Sky, it's an incomplete. And respectfully, it's how can I put it? How can I say this? I'm giving incomplete because when you are a rebuilding team needs patience. Yes, I understand they lost to Chicago, they lost to Washington, Phoenix, and Atlanta. They did beat Connecticut, but Connecticut, they are also rebuilding. Camila Cardoso, after last game, is now handling some Euro basketball business. It's more, and I have to agree with. I'm gonna give a shout out to Shay again from the committee. I agree. It's the fans. I'm trying to find the right words, Eric. The patience is just not. I think there has to be some sort of patience, and I feel like people don't understand when you're rebuilding a team. I understand the team is 3 years from winning a championship, and to me, like the main person you should be mad at is front office. They've put this team together. When I look at the roster, Ariel Atkins is a great defender, but Ariel Atkins plays a lot better when there's a star next to her. Last year, even the year before, they challenged her to kind of be the focal point, kind of take on that lead, that type of a role, and it wasn't consistent. You're asking players like Rachel Banham, Rebecca Allen. Rebecca Allen's been in the starting lineup and has not produced well. Again, my question was look at their front court, and it's thin. Courtney Vandersloot's out for the year now. As a couple weeks ago, it's just a mess. I mean, there are some bright points, but I mean, Camilla could get more touches on the ball. I think Angel's starting to find her ground, her footing, at least to me. But Tyler, I feel like he's going to be another scapegoat to somebody who just is, to me, another version of Greg Bibb. And that's no shade to him, but I mean, look at his fingerprints are all on this team. So, in fairness, they play they lost to the Sparks. Then they have the Golden State Valkyries, and then they have the Sparks again on the 29th. So that should be something to watch for sure. The next team is the Connecticut Sun. The Connecticut Sun have now lost 6 in a row. 0-4, and they lost against Indiana, Phoenix, Dallas, and Golden State in that order. And let me just go ahead and get it out. We all know about the whole. First and foremost, that was not a brawl. When they played Indiana, that was a snuggle fest. And everyone had their whole diatribe on it, and I'm not going to really speak on it much. But they just, on the offensive side of the ball, they have the lowest scoring offense. I think it's almost 70, close to 72 points per game. Also, the Tina Charles and Marina Mabry. Marina Mabry, again, as I'm recording this video, is now out for the next 2 to 4 weeks as she's dealing with a knee injury. Offense got to come from somebody. And again, you're just putting stuff together, hope it sticks to the wall. I did not think it looked like this. And my prediction for them being an 8th seed is just starting. It's just going out the window. But I'm holding out hope for them to an extent. I think they'll get it together. But I am a little confused on the vision here because, I mean, to get blown up by Golden State by 24 points and then lost to double digits by Indiana, I mean, a combined 2-12 record. I can't defend that. So, and then on top of that too, you've got, well, they lost to Vegas last night. They have Seattle tomorrow, which is Friday, and they have Minnesota without if Nafisa Collier does not play. That should be interesting.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
Okay, next team is the Dallas Wings. The Dallas Wings, I'm giving them incomplete simply because of the same thing. Roster. If you're understanding my logic here, is roster construction, how these rosters are built. Like Paige Beckers, especially for Dallas, Paige Beckers, Quinn Lee, Zai James, they've adjusted well. But how this roster is built, like it's really, really hard. Like, you know, this was, and I'm just using her as an example. Dejanay Carrington, compared to her role last year in Connecticut, is being asked to do more. Like, I'd like the one thing I think that bothered me about Unrivaled is it made role players look like stars. Like they could be the number one or number 2 scoring option. And respectfully, I look at Dejanay more as a defender than an offensive threat. That's just my opinion. That's no shade. But there are a couple bright points. They went 2-1 last 3 games. They did lose in overtime to us, which was a great game, by the way. They did beat Golden State and Connecticut. Paige led the W in points per game with 23. So, I mean, there's bright points there, but I just think how everything looks. I think Chris. I really, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one for sure to see. Golden State, I'm going to give them a B. I'm giving them a B because if you look at it, it's positionless basketball in Golden State. But the one thing also, too, if you look at their roster, first and foremost, I don't understand why some individuals picked them to win less than 10 games. If you look at this roster, once upon a time, majority of this roster were either starters or 6 women. Tiffany Hayes, if you paid attention, was an all-star. Kayla Thornton was a starter with Dallas and New York. Monique Billings, when she was in Atlanta, was a starter. Veronica Burton, I know, came off the bench. Julie Van Loo last year was a starting point guard for the Washington Mystics. So I'm a little confused on where do people think they were going to be. And again, I know historically you look at the expansion teams of the WNBA, history shows outside of one team, most of the teams are not successful their first year. But they're doing something right. And Coach Natalie has got them bought into the vision. and she's doing all the right things. Kayla Thornton, I think, should be in the All-Star and should be in the All-Star conversation. I think, to me, I still think they're going to win 15, 14 games. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I still think they'll be in that 15, 16 win mark, in my opinion. They did lose to New York, close game. They do play Chicago tomorrow, and they play Seattle Sunday. So that should be interesting. Outside of that, I mean, there's a lot you should be. Golden State, they're doing a lot of great things. I mean, for an expansion team to 13 games, I mean, they've had the same number of wins. The Minnesota Lynx and Orlando Miracle, formerly now known as the Connecticut Sun, they both won 15 games in their first years, respectively, and they missed narrowly because the only team that won that made the playoffs was the Detroit Shock. So again, we'll just see. But the Walkers are starting to prove me wrong. The Indiana Fever, I'm giving them a C because of two things. The 19 days that Caitlin wasn't there. Okay, and this is really a general question for Stephanie White, because I'm trying to understand Natasha Howard, right? Former MVP, champion. Kelsey Mitchell, All-Star. DeWanna Bonner, champion, 6th Woman of the Year, All-Star. Aaliyah Boston, All-Star. I'm looking at this roster. You can't figure out how to make adjustments without Caitlin. Let me ask another question. Connecticut, when she was the head coach, Kurt Miller got to the finals twice as head coach in Connecticut, and arguably did more with less. So I'm trying to understand, how could he get two teams to the WNBA finals? And then I'm watching the same thing with you last year, the last couple years in Connecticut. And then I'm watching so far, we're now going, 15, 14 games so far? And the 2 weeks Caitlin wasn't there, I didn't see any. What am I seeing? And the offensive rating when she's on the court versus when she's off the court are two totally different things, totally different statistics, excuse me. So I find that a bit weird, okay? So I think to lose to Golden State in Vegas, they're outscored by 26 points. And then, I mean, Aaliyah Boston had 52 points, 31 rebounds in both those games. So, I mean, bring your hat to those stats. But I'm just confused on where are the adjustments. And then DeWanna Bonner is no longer with the team. They had a contract divorce. And first and foremost, the slander on DeWanna Bonner, we're not going to have that. DeWanna Bonner is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay. Obviously, I think when you're a free agent, I think, in my opinion, her vision of what her role with the team versus what their expectation just didn't mesh. And I think to say she quit on the team, I think that's disingenuous. There was a tweet the other night that posted, I've never seen anything like that. I'm paraphrasing, but on the quote, they hashtag the other side. I got some examples. I watched an NBA ball player who got traded to the Golden State Warriors throw a temper tantrum, literally not showing up to work because he was upset about not getting a contract extension. Okay. Essentially, that's kind of quitting on the team if we're going to go with that logic. NFL wide receiver, most people would say is a prima donna. Okay. Was traded to from the Carolina Panthers to the Baltimore Ravens. Went from a rebuilding situation to a great situation. Refused to go in a football game because he, quote unquote, said his legs were cold. And then essentially said, well, I don't want to face the smoke, so just go ahead and release me. So if that's not quitting on the team, then what is? Obviously, DeWanna just would like to I think to say DeWanna quit on the team, that's disingenuous. I just think that her vision of her expectation of what her role on this team is not what she expected. And I think also too, I think there's also other stuff we just don't know. But I think to say she quit on the team, no, absolutely not. Now I did read some reports that she prefers to go to the Phoenix Mercury. I would like the Las Vegas Aces if it's possible, but if not, she wants to be close to 18. I respect it, but it is what it is. So, no, Brendan, it's not Antonio Brown. But not good guess though. But anywho, I'm just curious to understand with Indiana kind of, and again, like I said, when I looked at this overall team as a whole, the biggest thing was someone on this roster was going to lose two things: minutes and touches on the ball. And case in point. So, and I'm trying to understand, and especially with Caitlin not there with her injury, and Caitlin's not playing tonight as I'm recording this video because she's out due to injury. How do you figure out how to get the offense rolling with Natasha Howard, Leah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sid Colston? They did sign Ari McDonald. So I like that pickup for them. But yeah, should be interesting. Las Vegas Aces, I'm going to give them a C as well. The same thing, Megan Gustafson hasn't been there. Cheyenne Parker hasn't been there. I get it. And especially Asia Wilson was out due to a concussion protocol. But, listen, when you win a championship and trying to get back to winning a championship is not an easy feat. What this team did is not an easy feat. Trying to go back to do it a third time is not an easy feat. You have to understand something. Players are a year older. Injuries, free agency. We all know the whole thing with Dearica Hamby, which to an extent, I'm not going. Let me backtrack on that. That situation with Dearica Hamby, and then not having Candace Parker retiring abruptly. Players have to be bought into the vision of what you want your championship team to look like. For example, there's an article that came out with Asia. It was essentially basically saying when you come in, everyone has to be bought in. That should be the focus. If we're trying to win a championship, everybody has to be bought in. I'm looking at a whole roster that is essentially outside of Chelsea, Jackie, and Asia. I still think are understand the role. And also, too, Natalie and Tyler are not there. So it's practically almost like a new team. So, I do think to an extent there has been some spoiling because of the two championships. But if this was like year 7 post the championships, it's a great argument. But, no, I'm not panicking because right now they're sitting at 6 and 7. And there's a lot to be, I still think, plenty of basketball. 13 games. I mean, we're acting like it's the end of the world. And again, I don't think, like if Megan Gustafson's there, it's a little different. And I get it. Roster construction matters. That's on front office. And in my opinion, I believe they have a GM. They're just not saying anything. And also, too, again, who you're drafting, who you're signing. And also, too, players got to also, too, wake up and smell the coffee. Players got to be held accountable because last time I checked, they get checks, too. So it is what it is. But the defense, is not what it once was, but I think they can get it together. But yeah, man, they'll be fine. They will be fine. The Minnesota Lynx, I'm giving them an A in this regard, simply because they've just been playing well. But I found this. They actually have the 11th strength of schedule, which is the success of their start, and actually Washington Mystics, which was a great game, by the way. Last night defeated them without Nafisa Collier. I still am. I'm starting to jump in the air with this Lynx team simply because I don't think they have the firepower to beat a team like Atlanta or Phoenix to get to the finals, if I'm being honest. Now, Fee, and I had, and when Cheryl said this, alarm bells went off in my head. Nafisa has the same injury that Deladon suffered in the finals back in 19, if I remember correctly. So it's going to be interesting to see how she seems to look like she's doing well in her recovery. But a back injury like that is no joke. Okay. So I don't think they can be, I think they can be a little bit more conservative with her timetable because we don't know how long she's going to be out. I don't expect her to play this week because they got Atlanta tomorrow, so I don't expect her to play tomorrow. Because she didn't play last night, I don't expect her to play against Atlanta. I probably would suspect she plays against Connecticut. That's just me. But other than that, I mean, Minnesota's looking great. Courtney Williams is looked like an all-star. Kayla McBride had a great 20-point game, if I remember correctly, against the Sparks. They're fine. Diamond Miller had a come-out game about a week or so ago, so I'm proud to see what she's doing. I'd rather shout out Kyla Charles for the Dallas Wings, former Maryland Terrapin as well. Shout out to her. But I mean, I'm trying to jump in there about them. But for now, they get an A. And the super team, the cheat code, they're doing all the right things. But JJ is out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. She re-aggravated her right ankle after lost to the Phoenix Mercury, if I remember correctly. So I'm curious to see how they look without, as Neil Phoebus is also out because of Euro basketball. So, but they should find ways to win with what they have. But I already know that there's going to be excuses because they really, to me, if you can't figure out how to win games with Natasha Cloud, Stewie, Sabrina, Isabel, Nara Sabli, Kennedy Burke, my gosh, Johannes. I can't remember who else was on the bench. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. But you got to figure out how ways to win because someone else got to step up on that offense. So that's just me. Jalen Sherrod. So I think, thank you, Brendan. So interesting to see. They do play. I'm looking at the schedule. They play Golden State. They beat Golden State. They got Phoenix tomorrow. They got Atlanta Sunday. So also too, they did Sunday. Sabrina did not play against Seattle because she had a neck injury. So because Phoebe Leona is in Germany. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they all look without them. But for now, they get an A. And again, I mean, over the last 2 games, they averaged over 20 turnovers. So I'm interested to see how they look. But again, I'm already kind of starting to see people kind of start to panic a little bit. Phoenix, Coach Tibbetts should be in consideration for Coach of the Year. I have to apologize to the Phoenix Mercury because they're doing more with less, if we're being honest. When you look at their roster, 6 rookies and Megan McConnell, who didn't play professional basketball overseas. You got Monique. I'm not going to botch her last name. Rather respectfully, you got Catherine Westbeld, Maddie Westbeld's sister, and then Kataja, and then there's Lexi Held. She's out due to injury as well. I feel like I'm missing somebody as well. All leading 3-pointers with 29 3-pointers as a cohesive unit. That's not fair. But also, too, it just really just tells you what they're doing. And I mean, Kai's back. Satu and AT are all stars. I'm interested to see who's going to be in the MVP conversation. If I had to pick, I think Satu should be in the MVP conversation. But Coach Nate Tibbetts should definitely be in the MVP conversation because he's definitely doing all the right things. They play New York tomorrow and they have Vegas on Sunday. So putting up 107 points the other night against the Chicago Sky, which that wasn't right. That just wasn't. And now for the next team, I got to bring on the man, the myth, the legend. He actually was there last night covering them. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Brendan Potts as I find my clip. Brendan, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. Actually, it was 2 nights ago. The Storm played the Fever, and they're back at home tomorrow to complete a 3-game homestand. I just want to give a real big shout out to everybody who coordinated everything through all the craziness with the Storm and any team that plays the Fever. I got to talk to everybody I needed to, including on both teams. And I got a couple of really good stories out. I got a story on Lexi Hole out today, so if you haven't read that, give that a read. But other than that, man, I'm doing good. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to talk some Storm basketball.
Yeah. So I gave the Seattle Storm. You gave them a B+. I also am going to agree with that. So I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. So I gave them a B+. They're not quite at that A- territory yet. But there are definitely games this season where you've seen the sort of ceiling that I've always thought about when it comes to this team. Even in games that they're in, like a couple of days ago when they played the Fever, there were a couple of moments where I said, okay, this defense is legit, or this defense is a really good team. Or this defense is making this a really good team. One of the most complete wins I would say for the Storm this season was against Minnesota. I was not at the game against New York, but I would say that was a really good win too. But the game that I thought was the most complete that this team this team needed was Minnesota. And they're a team this season where they've been hot and cold, and this is where I'm getting to the main point. They would lose a couple of games, and then they would win 3 or 4 in a row, and then they would win, or they would lose one, and then they'd win 3 or 4 in a row, and then right after you think okay, they're stringing up a lot of good wins. How long can this last? They lose the next game. So it's just about the inconsistency with this team. I'm not quite sure how do you solve the inconsistency, right? That's a big question. I don't know what the definitive answer is for that. But once they solve that, and I think this is a really confusing. I'm trying to find the right word, but odd thing to say this late in the year. But I think they need more gelling. They need more gelling. What are we, 12 games in? I still don't think that's a big enough sample size for this team, like Nate said at the beginning of the show. But I mentioned the Minnesota game and how I thought that was a complete team win. And it was the vibe around the whole team, and the press conference, everybody's saying everybody's talking this is a complete team win. We came out as a team and we beat this team, and we gave Minnesota their first loss. That was their first loss of the season at the time. And I asked Coach Quinn, because I remember talking about this last year with someone I know on the Storm, And so I asked Noel Quinn, I said, what can you take away? Like, what can you take away as improvements in a team win like this, or in a complete team win like this? And I really liked her answer. And it's the consistency. There's two ways to consistency, right? There's consistently good and consistently bad. And the things that we are consistent in on the negative side is we haven't been able to rebound. Even in wins, we haven't been able to rebound. And like the win against Dallas, we kicked their ass and we still lost, I believe, by 17 in rebounding. Like against Dallas, like that's not good. That's not gonna. You want to be among the elite teams if you're Seattle. That's not the way to do it. Or that's not what you want to do against those elite teams. If you want to win a championship, you need to rebound the basketball. So rebounding is a key point. I think it's the biggest thing. And turnovers. And those are the biggest things that we need to take care of, especially with a point guard like Skylar, who's played like an all-star. Nneka's played like an all-star. Nneka should be an all-star. And if you haven't seen that press conference, I unfortunately wasn't at that post-game press conference. I believe I was at the away team press conference getting some answers from over there. But if you haven't seen that video of what Skylar said about Nneka, I believe you should watch that. It's a really sweet moment, and it's the first time I've seen Skylar get emotional. But yeah, Nneka's played out of her mind as well. But turning the ball over and rebounding are the biggest issues that this team needs to fix. And then like we're among the contenders. Like we're right where I believe that this team can be. Like this team has shown already in 12 games, like they haven't reached the ceiling that I think they can, but they've been pretty damn close in some games. So the other thing that Noel answered when I asked that question, particularly against Minnesota, was free throw shooting. And that game they didn't shoot that well, but they're getting to the line there. I think they're one of the top in like the last 7 games. Shout out to Christian from Circling Sports, local Seattle news outlet. He posted on X that Seattle's like first in the last 7 games in like assists, 3-point shooting, 3-point makes. So they're passing the ball, or they're moving the ball, and they're shooting tremendously well actually as of late. So there's in even the perfect wins against the really elite teams like Minnesota and New York, there's always things to improve on. And if we can improve that over the next, I'd say before the All-Star break, second half of the season, this team can look like where I believe this team should be in terms of like their ceiling.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. I know what we were talking about. Where Skylar mentioned that Nneka is the most disrespected MVP.
That's the video. I think everybody should check that out. It's absolutely right. She's absolutely right.
Yeah, I to an extent agree with that. I think a lot of it is personality to an extent. But Nneka to me is a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's just, I don't know. I feel like certain situations she's been in throughout her career, I think, she could have a couple more rings, but that's one other subject for another day. But
yeah, I just love I'm sad that I wasn't able to be a part of that press conference. I can't remember. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was against New York. That's why, because I didn't go. I didn't go to that game. That's why. I was trying to think of who it was. who it was against. Yeah, I'm sad I couldn't go to that. But she's absolutely right, and it's been the conversation. Like Noel Quinn's talked about it early in the year. Skylar's talked about it. Like I'm surprised. Like I haven't heard like every single player talk about it at one time. Like everybody loves NECA, and I was thinking about it. I believe on my drive over to the Indiana game. It's 3 hours for me, by the way. I have a lot to think about over 3 hours. But I was thinking about it on the drive. Like this is like we had Stewie and Sue Bird. Like this is like the new era of the Seattle Storm, and I know they promoted it as that last year. But it kind of reminds me of like the New York Liberty of when they first started. Okay, think about it. Like all these new pieces, they're trying to gel together. I'm not saying we're going to be as good as the New York Liberty. I want us to be, of course, but like all these new pieces, complete culture shift. But it's a new era of Seattle Storm basketball, and I can see that. Yeah, I kind of thought about that and just thought about the new pieces in their second year. And I'm like, mainly I'm thinking about like what the hell went wrong last year, outside of what the given. But
let it go.
But I'm using that in terms of like what's different this year. And chemistry matters, and
I agree.
Yeah, definitely in their pick and roll. I want to see their pick and roll numbers because I think I would bet it's one of the tops in the league.
For sure. I do have a question for you because I don't know what this has been recently, but this lately, Ezzy Magdemagor has been getting slander. Now I know me personally, I could point him back to when y'all had Tina after she left the kind of divorce from Phoenix. And once you got Tina, that kind of took the momentum out of her sales. And ever since
once she started Tina.
Well, you know what? Yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it took the momentum out of her sales in terms of like okay, like it's like the experiment. Is this not a system for her, or are we just because overseas she looks like a completely different player? Is it system? Is it style of play? Like,
I don't know. And
confidence.
It's hard to. Yeah, I think that has something, a little something to do with it. It's easier. I'll say it this way: it's easier to judge Ezzy's fit with the team on the evaluate her fit on the team on the defensive end, and her impact on the defensive end, because even the year I'm talking about, the year that we didn't make the playoffs after Stewie and Sue left. Coming into that year, I was kind of worried because I didn't think Ezzy was that good of an offensive piece. And that year you had Jewel, you had she didn't need to score as much as you would think after you lose a piece like Breanna Stewart. And this year with no Jewel, even though you have scorers in NECA and Skylar, yes, Skylar is a scoring point guard. Ezzy has kind of not had to score as much, but that's I don't know. It's I get where the slander's coming from, because she hasn't had the best start to the season. But I like what a couple of the players and Ezzy, or I'm sorry, and Noel Quinn has said. especially first couple of games of the season. I know for a fact, Noelle Quinn said that like she's done different things that don't show up on the box score, and I that phrase I know she said, but I don't know the specifics of what she pointed out. But yeah, I'm not surprised at all. The different things that Ezzy can do that doesn't impact or that doesn't show on the box score. Like she has a defensive presence that fears, but like that puts fear into some offensive players' minds. Like especially guards that go or that attack the rim. They don't want to attack the rim when Ezzy's there to swat their shot to the third row of whatever stadium they're in. Like they don't want to do that. And even if she doesn't get the block, like she's still there. She's still affecting shots. So those types of things don't show up on the box score. And that's what if I'm defending Ezzy, which I'll defend Ezzy 366 days of the year. Yes, I know how many days are in the year. I like that's exactly what I'll like. That's one of the examples I'll give. Like her shot, her defensive presence is still among the elite. Painfully, she may not be an all-star this year.
That's okay
because of the slow start, but not saying she's not an all-star caliber player. She definitely is. But she's definitely is if she picks it up over the course of the season, then she's definitely a big piece that the Storm need to get to that elite level, especially defensively. I feel so disappointed in myself, and I have to self-apologize that I did all this praising of the Seattle Storm, and I did not mention Gabby Williams, who should be in the running for most improved player, which is insane to think about because she should definitely be an all-star. She should definitely be an all-star.
Yes.
If she's not an all-star, this fan votes is one thing, and that's a whole different thing. But if the people of the world who know basketball, if they watch this season and don't think Gabby Williams is an all-star, they need to be studied. Like she has been an insane. She's played as one of the best, if not the best, two-way players in the league. Like she's been phenomenal on both ends of the floor, and it's been such a key. Like you lose a player like Jewel Lloyd, you're going to lose a lot of scoring, and Gabby coming in and impacting on the scoreboard, never mind on defense as well, is huge for this team. And she's just played out of her mind. And I read in one piece, I think that was pretty recent. Like she plays, or she feels like she's free, like she's playing more freely than she has in the past. And I think that might be because she gets to play a full year with the team. But I'm so sad that I didn't get the chance to give a shout out to Gabby. So there's my shout out to her. She's played phenomenal this season.
Also, too, I did want to mention NECA does turn 35 next week. So, wow. That does not feel like she's 35.
35, like she's playing like an MVP. Come on, man. Age is just a number.
Exactly.
Number.
Yeah, so you guys play Connecticut tomorrow. You guys play Golden State on Sunday. You guys are looking good. You guys looking pretty good.
I'll be there. I'll be there at that Connecticut game. I'm looking for. We lost a bad game to Indiana. That was a bad loss. Granted, Lexi Hull's got a vendetta against the Storm, man. She's got a vendetta against the Storm. I asked Coach Quinn about Lexi Hull because I did it for a story. Ultimately, I didn't use her quote in that story, but I asked her about Lexi, and she said she had a career high 6. I can't remember. However many threes she had in Indiana when they played the Storm, and I remember that game. And she brought that up, and then next, like that game, she had a career high. So I'm like, man, she's got a vendetta against the Storm. But that game for the Storm was a bad loss. It was one where I mentioned earlier, like we win I think we were 3 or 4 games in a row. We were one of the hottest teams in the league besides Phoenix. And then we lose to the Fever, which they had not been playing well up until that point. So I'm looking for the Storm tomorrow as a complete get right game. They need to come out and they need to punch this team in the mouth. They need to, because they're playing Connecticut. They're playing one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league. And so they need to come out with a vengeance. They need to come out and just punch this team in the mouth and just get on the board with a W. Now, I say that, but I also say that when I asked Coach Quinn about the improvements after a game like Minnesota, she thought they could start first quarters better. Absolutely agree. They have not been starting first quarters out well for pretty much the whole season, and that's been an issue over the last few years. So I don't know who we need to play for it to come back to haunt us, but that's another thing that, like, rebounding, turnovers, and starting out the game on the right foot. It definitely costed us last year against Vegas in the playoffs. So those types of things, though, like starting out the game well, turnovers and turnovers and rebounds. Rebounds is a big one.
Okay. Well, we're definitely looking for that game I have a feeling it's going to be on the League Pass. But yeah, man, it should be good. I hope you have a good time out there. Drive safe travels. And Lexi Brown, I'm assuming, will not be playing.
Yeah, she's out. The report came out earlier, a couple hours ago. She's out, and Katie Lou's out. I feel like it's deja vu for her in LA. I don't know how bad it is, but I think I don't want to get too much into speculation, but yeah, I hope all is well with Lexi. But last I heard, she was out. She is out tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Brendan, I appreciate you, sir. Thanks for hopping on. I will have you on next time for week 7. Again, safe travels. And again, also too, don't forget to say hi to Tina for me.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, she's gonna get a good reception. I hope. I hope in Seattle. So
she should.
Yeah, she should. There's not too much bad blood over there.
Nah.
In Seattle, she had a good time over there.
Nah. No, you should be all right.
Nah. All right. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you, buddy. And then lastly, but not least, for Washington Mystics, if I hear one more time that the Mystics got to trade Aaliyah Edwards or Shakira Austin, I'm going to crash the hell out on somebody. They're not trading them. Okay. Y'all got to cut that crap out. I'm because y'all almost made me go there with it, because first and foremost, I got to give Sidney Johnson some love. He's got these girls bought into the vision. I got to give Mr. Miller, the GM, like, I see the vision. I'm not throwing shots at Eric last year, but I last year, you got to me, from what it looked like last year to this year, everyone looks bought into their role. Everybody also too is doing different things. But also too, as far as it goes, I have just one question that has still not yet. And I posted it on Twitter. It's not been answered. If I trade Aaliyah or Shakira, because they all do something different, who do you fill that void with? And on top of that, y'all have been wanting the Mystics to tank and rebuild for some time now. Now you want me to get more assets. That makes absolutely no sense. But I'm saying, if I hear that one more time, I'm crashing out on somebody because that's ridiculous. Because Aaliyah Edwards is literally just came off an injury. She's working her way back in the rotation. And she got a decent amount of minutes last night in the win against Minnesota. Oh my God. I mean, Sonia Citron and Kiki Arifin. Oh, another thing. Is Paige Beckers not allowed to have competition for Rookie of the Year? Like, damn. Like, y'all are doing way too much with that. Kiki and Sonia, I've adjusted well. I have to apologize because they were not who I wanted for the Mystics, respectfully, the fan side of me, but that's okay. They're doing all the right things. Shakira Austin had a career high 28 against the Dream. Brittany Sykes had a career high against the 32 against the Sky. They are doing all the right things. They're looking really good. They're right there. If the playoffs ended today, they're there. And also too, like, they're kind of ahead of schedule in terms of a rebuild. Now, personally, we're 7-8, and we have to play the Las Vegas Aces this evening, and we're going against Asia Wilson, who scored her 5,000th point career last night. So, congratulations to Asia. That just tells you how just that damn good of a player she has been in her time so far in this league. But the Mystics are doing their thing. I argued, and you're going to see in the rankings, but I'm going to give them a B simply because I still kind of question where we kind of are with this roster, because I'm kind of seeing he's kind of figuring out what works, what doesn't work. Sugg Sutton, oh my goodness, she is doing some wonders at point guard for us, and having a point guard it really makes a lot of things and smooth for a lot of people, and especially the rookies are doing some great things, and not having in that Georgia Amore, who's recovering from an ACL injury, so they're making it fun to watch Mystic basketball. I have not been there personally. I'm going to get to some games, I promise you guys. And again, like I said, their schedule has just been wonky this early part of the year. But yes, I'm proud of my Mystics for sure. It's much love to them. They're doing some great things. But I got to get out to some games this year before the year's up, because we're going in July, August, and then September. Got to get out there. But yeah, they're definitely going to be for me. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get to the Week 6 rankings. Eric, if you please, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with this commercial. Okay, and we're back. And for this week, Week 6 of the WNBA, I know you see the title of it, but this week, my rankings for this week, I think it's fair, and I'm going to share my screen in just a second. Eric, AJ, thank you. I appreciate you, sir. And as you can see, I'm going to put the Minnesota Lynx at 1, Phoenix 2, New York 3. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. New York 3, Atlanta 4, Seattle 5, Golden State 6, Vegas 7, Washington 8, Indiana 9th, Dallas 10th, Los Angeles 11th, Chicago 12th, and Connecticut 13th. That is my rankings for this week, for the Week 6 for the WNBA. Again, we'll be back for week 7 for the WNBA season. But also, too, those are the first quarter grades. We'll be in the second quarter as well, and actually about another week or so. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then we're going to have we'll be about All-Star break. That'll be about about halftime. We'll do the grades for that. So definitely check in for that. But we're going to actually get into one final thought, ladies and gentlemen.
Thoughts are running through my mind. So I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Okay. One final thought. Actually, I have a couple. The first one final thought is, where do I begin? So obviously, I've been on for a couple weeks, and a lot's happened, and I'm quite disappointed with the WNBA media. I consider myself an independent journalist. I'm an aspiring sports journalist, and I don't work for any publication. I work with TeamNBSMedia and mdsportsblog. But the main publications, especially in the last couple of weeks, especially after that snuggle fest between the Sun and the Fever, journalism really needs some work. But not just that. I thought our job was to be objective and do reporting. And that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And even I'm watching coaches not holding their players accountable. That's my first one final thought I have an issue with. My second thought is how can I say this? Patience as fans. I call this society today the microwave society, like putting something in the oven and you just want it quick and wanting instant results. Realistically, if some individuals were WNBA GMs, y'all would be fired after 1 year. And I think placing your blame, like I said earlier, at the wrong hands and not understanding, looking at some of these teams are built. Example, would you really have built a team around Angel Reese or Camila Cardoso where they easily are both flawed, respectfully, as players? I'm just using them as an example. No, you would not have. The Connecticut Sun, they are clearly rebuilding. Los Angeles, I didn't even mention Len Roberts. I think Coach Roberts was a great coach at Utah, but I'm trying to understand this system. I'm not fond of it, and trying to build around essentially 2 role players that are paid like stars. That's not working to me. It's not. So I just think my point is that patience is a virtue, and you got to give things time. Sorry to say that. Lastly, Kentell Marte is a second baseman. I know he can play multiple positions for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Great baseball player, all-star. I think he's one of the best in the game right now. Had something that was inappropriately said to him. Whatever it was, the fan was banned from all the stadiums. Listen, you pay to go as a fan, be a fan. And I don't understand why people find it so hard to go, well, what did he say? And it's like, well, it's something he said that really bothered him. So I really do hope Kentell is okay, because I know this month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I know, and it just you don't want to see that, that was totally uncalled for. And also, too, lastly, Tabitha Turner. She is a reporter. I know she covers the Atlanta Hawks and Atlanta Dream. And she's kind of in the news for all the wrong reasons at the moment. So an Uber driver on TikTok posted a story saying that she was attacked. This happened on the 21st. On the 21st, a police report that she was picked up. Miss Turner was picked up from Hartsfield Jackson International, because she's represented by the Dominguez law firm, and she was coming from a work trip. And now I know, as somebody as myself who's used Uber and Lyft, there's different variety of options you can use. You have the standard, like certain things. So Uber has standard, but then Uber Comfort, the different preferences, such as talking to the driver, temperature. Even though you have to pay more, okay? Because especially my East Coast folk, because where I live in Maryland, the weather has been shitty. Excuse my language. It's been hot. Okay, I don't being in the triple digits. It's been ridiculous. So according to the reports, this is what Mr. Dominguez said, and I'm going to play the clip. There's a couple clips I'm going to play. She said allegedly all the windows were down, and what she put in the app, according to Tabitha, there was no AC on, and it was 90-degree weather. So, the response from the driver was the reason why she was not going to turn the AC and put the windows up, because she was worried about catching illnesses from riders. And I quote, that customers who are sick, like Smith, like to leave the windows down in case customers are sick, and she never rolls them up on her rides. Okay, that's fine. I understand that. But I don't think it's fair to, I don't think it's, in my opinion, fair to assume that every person who gets in your car as a passenger is sick. Okay. It was a request, and if you can't honor that request, then I wouldn't have taken it. Okay. Now, and I quote, the response that she got from the driver was not kind and not friendly, but decided to tell the passenger, you know what, we're done. You need to get out with your bags on the side of the expressway, which is not a reasonable request by any stretch of the imaginary, Dominguez said. After arguing, Smith told Turner to get out the car. Turner began recording on her phone, and Smith pepper sprayed her. Smith hit Turner, who was blinded from the spray, swung back in self-defense. Turner then exited the car, escaped to the wood line where she called the police. The investigators saw the injury marks on her left shoulder and elbow and took 2 pepper spray containers from one she grabbed from the driver during the struggle after she sprayed. Although in the report, Turner says she showed the police the video from her phone, the police could not see it due to the sunlight and the chaotic crime scene. After Turner and Smith gave their statement to the police, Smith was taken to the hospital for her injuries, and later the responding officer took Turner to the MARTA train station at East Point. The officer asked to rewatch Turner's video and determined that Smith was the primary aggressor. After watching, Smith, and I quote, she swung and struck Turner in the head and upper torso, the officer said in the report. Smith then used a non-deadly weapon against Turner in the form of pepper spray. This temporarily blinded Turner, who struck back and scratched the face of Smith in self-defense. A warrant was issued for Smith's arrest, who was the Uber driver, by the way, a battery and simple battery as misdemeanors. Following the incident, Smith posted 2 TikTok videos that drew over 1 million views. And I quote, she's lacing her narrative with falsehoods and misinterpretations, trying to get the public to turn against this violent, unreasonable passenger that just so happens to be in the public eye, Dominguez said. This is just taking advantage of somebody she thinks has something to lose, and we're here to fight and push back. The law firm shared that Smith's post has caused a lot of backlash against Turner, including threats of violence and many are calling for her to lose her job. And I quote, my client unfortunately has many ramifications over the last 48 hours, Dominguez said. She has been contacted by legal representatives by both the NBA and WNBA about her role and participation in this, and thank God she has the presence of mind to videotape what she did when she started. Turner recalls the backlash she received on social media. I received, and I quote, I received threats via social media about my karma that's coming to me, she said, defaming my character, calling me all kinds of names, saying all those things why I attacked her, just how a horrible person I am. They reached out to people I work with and work for. She said she fears for her safety and future job opportunities. I have a 1-year-old daughter that I have to take to the games with me. I can't take her because I don't know who's going to be there to attack me based on what she's saying. I have opportunities with the league, and I don't know if they're going to happen now. I've gotten threats, and I'm so grateful to the Dream for standing by me and for telling me that if I need extra security, they've got me, Turner said. I didn't ask for this. Dominguez said he and his client have not been in contact with Uber as it was an isolated incident, but when they do, they will look into the process of assigning other drivers into their system and charging customers for elevated rides and their policies for drivers. Dominguez said also it's very likely he will file a civil action relating to the incident. Okay. So now I'm going to play the clip if I can find it. This is on Fox Atlanta, Fox 5 Atlanta. And then I'm going to give my overall 2 cents, and we're going to get up out of here because we're coming up on an hour and some change.
Think of all the places that can expose your info. LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. If there's a problem, we fix it. Guaranteed.
Welcome back. And new at noon, it was a wild ride from Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. An Atlanta sports reporter says she got into a pepper spray shootout with an Uber driver. Tabitha Turner says it all played out along I-85 on Saturday. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live in downtown Atlanta, where Turner and her attorneys just wrapped up a news conference. This is a really strange one, Deidre. So apparently this all started as an argument about AC.
That's absolutely right. And Tabitha Turner, the victim, according to police in this incident, broke down during the news conference talking about how this has impacted her after the suspect in this case went and posted this on social media on TikTok, giving her account of what happened during that violent encounter during an Uber ride on Interstate 85 on Saturday afternoon. Now, according to Hapeville police, Uber driver Miracle Smith picked the sports reporter up from Hartsfield-Jackson at around 3:40 Saturday afternoon. And they were traveling northbound on I-85 when Turner asked the driver to turn on the air conditioning in the vehicle and roll the windows up due to the extreme heat. Now, the driver reportedly got upset, pulled off the interstate, stopped the car, and ordered Turner out of the car. Turner told the driver the only way she would get out of the Uber without completing the trip is if the driver called police and returned her fare. Now, the driver refused. The driver then got out of the vehicle. At some point, she pepper sprayed Miss Turner. She dragged Miss Turner from the vehicle and physically assaulted her. Another driver witnessed the incident and called police. Now, Turner's a sports reporter for the Atlanta Hawks and Atlanta Dream. She says she's faced significant backlash surrounding the incident after Smith began targeting Turner on social media.
Pull over on the expressway suddenly in the emergency lane with vehicles flying by, coming out of the airport, and to decide that you're going to tell the passenger, you know what, we're done. You need to get out with your bags on the side of the expressway is not a reasonable request by any stretch of the imagination.
I have a 1-year-old daughter that I like to take to the games with me, and I can't take her because I don't know who's going to be there to attack me based on what she's saying.
Now, Turner also recorded this incident. She turned her video over to Hapeville police. They viewed her video, and after viewing that video, they did find that Smith was the aggressor, and a warrant has been issued for her arrest for battery and simple battery. We'll have more on this story starting at 4 o'clock on Fox 5 News. That's latest here in downtown Atlanta. Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
Boy, really unfortunate story there, Deidre. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Deidre. Thank you, Miss Deidre. As always, I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, that's enough of that. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Deidre. As always, I appreciate you. Okay, so I'm going to give my 2 cents because first and foremost, I think it's really weird, right? So I heard about this. I'm going to give a shout out to Rashard Milligan on his YouTube channel. check him out. Subscribe to his channel. He's on the road to 5,000 subscribers. I really think he should change his YouTube to Late Nights with Rashard. No, but all seriousness. So I found this out. Really, I saw it on TikTok, and at that point, we did not have Tabitha's side of the story. Then I saw it got on Reddit. Then it got into Twitter. It's funny to me, okay? When it comes, I'm gonna give you an example, right? Justin Tucker just today got suspended for 10 games for sexual misconduct. He's had well over close to 20 cases of being inappropriate in massage parlors. When these first came out, a lot of people were, well, I don't think we should judge because we don't have all the facts. Okay, I'm looking at this situation between these two, right? Miss Brown and Miss Turner and Miss Brown, and the same situation. We went off like the Uber driver got ahead of this and painted a picture that, if we're being honest, wasn't a true picture. Now, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Okay. Now, let me just go ahead and get out the way. If you've ever been maced in your face, okay, mace is not that it stings. Okay, it burns in your face. Okay, that's no joke. So I have a simple question, because everyone's saying, you side with the Uber driver. Okay, first and foremost, I think to pull over to the side of a highway, which is dangerous, and especially in weather that hot, when it's been hot, that's not safe. If you spray me with mace and you try to physically pull me out the car, what do you think the first thing I'm going to do as a person who's been now sprayed in the face with mace? I'm going to get into defense mode. Would you not do the same thing, listener, viewer? Okay. Number two, both parties are in the wrong. Miss Smith, if you were that uncomfortable about passengers being sick in your car, then I wouldn't have taken the ride. All she just asked was a simple request. Could you please roll up the windows? I've been in Lyfts and Ubers where they've got those plastic things up behind the driver and passenger seats. You can easily get one of them things off Amazon if that makes it comfortable for you. End of discussion. Okay. I think for individuals to mention the Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta Dream, and again, you didn't have the facts. You went off by the Uber driver and her side of the story without even seeing this video. What do you gain from that? Because really, honestly, truthfully, both are in the wrong. Because let me give you an example. This was last year. I'm going to a Mystics game. They're playing, I want to say it was maybe with the Sparks or was the Aces. I actually got there late. There's a Lyft. I took a Lyft. The Lyft driver asked, "Do you mind if we stop to get gas?" No problem. We're on the highway. The Lyft driver is literally starting to fall asleep at the wheel. I'm not comfortable with that. No one should be comfortable with someone falling asleep behind the wheel. What do? I contact Lyft. They have the thing on their phone, on the app, where you can contact somebody until they go to the nearest whatever. That's where I go, contact them, got a new Lyft, got to the game safely. You could have said, okay, you know what? I'm going to request a new location. Could you just drop me off there? That way I get there safely. That way, as a driver, they're there safely, and keep it going. And I'll contact Lyft or Uber later and get my money back. Boom. Move, think differently. Because at the end of the day, because allegedly, Miss Brown says Miss Turner was reaching in her bag. And I have to also think like this. You got to be careful with people these days. You don't know what people are like. But also, too, you got to move and think differently. Like, all this could have been avoided. It simply is just, okay, you know what? Hey, you know what? I'm sorry. This is how I is. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want sick people getting in my car, germs, all that. I'll roll the windows up. If you can't accommodate that, then just say that. Or just cancel the ride and say, hey, I'm canceling because X, Y, and Z. Or you should have made that perfectly clear before you pulled off. I know someone's going to say, it's their car. They can do whatever they want. But my thing is, you don't know, Miss Turner could have some type of condition. Now, suppose she passed out. Suppose she, I'm just thinking of stuff like that, which, again, to assume like when any person that gets in your car is sick, I think that's not, I think that's not cool. Now I get it. Now, you know, if being sick is no joke, but, to me, but also pulling her out the car, my perception, both people are in the wrong easily, but that does not give the Uber driver the right to get ahead of it and try to make herself look like she was innocent in all of it when she really wasn't. Because now it makes sense, because when you're maced in the face, you can't see. And it's that's just my 2 cents on it. But that's my one final thought. I've talked long enough. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe out here. Please check on loved ones. Take it one day at a time. Things will get better. And please touch grass and, again, move, think differently, be smart. And remember, it's just be smart. That's all I'm going to say. AJ, please get me out of here. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Stay hydrated. Stay cool. Stay safe. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.